Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Would you like to build a business with processes that can get you further ahead in your journey to financial freedom by automating what works and discontinuing what doesn't work? Well, my guest expert today is Joshua Maddux. He's the CEO of 95 Visual. He has an in-depth background in websites, planning strategy, development, and architect. From managing web projects to building and migrating large web applications, Joshua helps 95 Visual clients establish and maintain a better web presence through information architect, project management, and web strategy. Joshua, great to have you here.
Yeah, great to be with you.
Why is this such an important part of building a successful business?
Yeah, so, setting up a plan for any type of business or, any type of plan or a process, there's a lot of business coaches and a lot of well-known business strategists that will talk about if you're not, if you don't have a plan, then you're planning to fail. And so many business owners, when you ask, hey, what is your marketing plan or what is your financial plan or where do you want to be in 2 years? They really don't know.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where if you hop in the car and you start driving and you don't have a plan of where you're going, you're never going to get there. But if you plan to go to the restaurant that's 5 miles down the road, you can get there. You may take the long way around, but you'll get there. And that's really, on the planning aspect of that.
I agree. I think people get into business all shiny and new, and they'll tell you, build a website, but they don't tell you how that website needs to work to be successful in complementing where you want to go.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking, the element of a business process, talking about planning in that sense. And, websites, building a website is a huge element to having a business process in place. Some people will build out a website and, they don't really know how that fits into their business plan. And if you're a sales type business, if you have anything to sell, think through it, even if it's a product or a service, think through it as you're hiring a salesperson. What information would you want a salesperson to know? You're not going to hire a salesperson if you're let's say you're a roofing contractor. You're not going to hire a salesperson and say, just go sit in the corner, for 6 months and we'll figure out what to do with you when we get there. That's wasting a lot of money. And so you're not going to do that with an actual person. Don't do that with your website. And so it's what type of processes and procedures can you have in place, not only to help grow your business, but also to ensure that your website is bringing you the value that you need.
I love the way you've said that because I've never sort of really thought about that. But of course, if you were to hire a sales rep, you'd want them going out there, knowing how to sell, knowing how to bring in the business, and knowing how to transfer that from the conversation into the sale. So in regards to what we're talking about here, you're talking about building a process as a business or in the website?
On both sides. So, I will say, for instance, we have a client of ours who has a physical location and people need to make a sort of a reservation to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And that person who, if they have a new client, that new potential prospect may call them, may talk on the phone for 10, 15 minutes, get to understand the business a little better, and, may have a half a dozen questions where if they have, for sake of argument, let's call it a chiropractor. And so, but if you've been to this same chiropractor, 5, 6, 7 times, you know how they work. You know exactly what you're expecting. All you need to do is ensure that there's availability next Thursday afternoon. That's all you need to know. And so for this client, we have a web form on their website that you can go to and punch in the day and time that you'd like to come in, your name, your email address and phone number, and just hit submit. And you're putting in a booking request. And then on the office side, they get an email with all that information. They can double check the schedule, and they just click a button to reply that says, thanks, that's been booked, or hey, that's that time that you wanted, 3 p.m. on Thursday is not available. How about 3:30 or 4 o'clock? And so it cuts that time, from that phone call, from a 20-minute phone call to a super quick, and the other thing is, let's say I was looking to book a chiropractic appointment and it's, 9 o'clock at night and they're not open. So now I call, there's nobody at the office. So it's like, it's this sort of round and round type aspect. And if I were to leave a voicemail, I'd say, hey, I want to come in for an appointment, and then hang up. And then they'd call me back while I'm at work. They leave a call, a voicemail. And so we play phone tag for 3 or 4 days until we actually get an appointment scheduled. And so with something like a contact form, and I know this is the process that I'm talking about right now, is simply just utilizing the contact form on your website properly. If you're a business that you need to provide a quote for something, or you need, 95% of your customers submit a booking request or a schedule request or a specific request for a quote, then have that contact form on your website have some minimal amount of information that they have to fill out, so you have a little bit more of an understanding of what exactly that may be, and you don't have to spend quite as much time talking on the phone to each customer, because you as a business owner, your time is valuable, and you want to make sure that you're utilizing that to the best of your ability. So yeah.
What about marketing or traffic? What processes are for that?
Yeah, so on the marketing side, so let's say, that, the chiropractor example that we just, we're talking about. So, if you want more customers as like a chiropractor or whatever, utilizing Facebook ads or Google ads, or, there's tons of other search engines and platforms that you can use, but ensuring that, you're targeting the correct age demographic, you're targeting the correct income bracket, you're targeting the correct geolocation. If you're a brick and mortar store and you're targeting customers who are 200, 300, 400 miles away, unless you are a hotel or a resort or, something like that, if you're just a brick and mortar convenience store or a chiropractor or a dentist, targeting customers 200 plus miles away from your location is not going to work. You want to target people that are, 0 to 10 miles or 0 to 20 miles. And so ensuring sort of that location aspect. So utilizing the marketing to help drive traffic to a website and increase the number of contacts and increase the number of people clicking on your website and filling out that contact form is all definitely a business building aspect.
And what about conversion from traffic to sales and all that? What processes need to be in place for that?
Yeah. So, for us, looking at monitoring conversion. And so, if you get 100 people to come to a landing page on your website, to come to your contact page or come to whatever, typically if you get 2 to 3% of the people filling out a contact form, that's actually really good. It sounds really low, but 2 to 3% is actually sort of a decent sort of minimum conversion. And so being able to track that, whether it's utilizing Google Analytics, or there's, Google Analytics is free and would highly recommend anybody who has a website to add the Google Analytics code to their site. There's a ton of other paid services as well that offer some other tracking in addition, but Google Analytics is a great place to start. And so from there, it's, you can make little adjustments to your contact page. And, one of the things that we always see is like if someone says, hey, do you want this, free PDF file? Just give me your email address. That languaging, like give me your email, sounds offensive. But if you change that from that to something as, where would you like me to send this? And it's like, oh, okay, I just have to give them the email address because they need to send me information. And so it's thinking about it from, the customer's perspective. The other thing is you can always start to poke around the internet and look at, what are 3 or 4 other companies doing? What are, what things when you go to a website do you get frustrated by? And don't do those. What things when you go to a website, you're like, that was really easy. How can I, create a process or create something like that on my site? And you sort of think through it and go from there.
Yeah. What about, okay. What about there's cost involved. If you're building a business or, you're at the early stages, there needs to be a balance between what's coming to you and the costs involved of say Facebook ads or Google ads. I mean, you can spend any money on that, but if it's not bringing you decent traffic and then that's not converting to somebody contacting your form and then converting into sales, I mean, how can you sort of be confident that what you're doing is going to bring you the business you desire?
Yeah. Yeah. So on the marketing side, that's a big question to unpack here, but let's go dive through that. So, I think the first element that I want to touch on is what's called cost of acquisition.
Yeah.
Every business should know what their cost of acquisition is. And for those who are listening and maybe don't know that term exactly, cost of acquisition is what it costs you to get a new customer. Yeah. And so if you are a business and you offer a referral program and you pay 10% referral, or you pay $200, for any referral that's given, that's your cost of acquisition. If you have to run Google ads and, your conversion rate's 10% and each click costs $5, that means, it's $5. And if your conversion's only 10%, then you're spending about $50 on ads. And so you're spending about $50 on ads, to convert that one customer. You also want to think through the time, for you to spend on the phone. If you're spending an hour with each customer on the phone and walking them through stuff and, answering questions and all that stuff, that's, again, sort of a cost of acquisition, and really, can drive that price point up a little bit. And so, looking at, the cost of acquisition, and obviously, if you're a small business and you don't have thousands of dollars to spend on advertising, what do you do? And so, I would say one of the biggest things to try is definitely looking at and utilizing referrals. Referrals are a great way for you to ensure that you can help grow your business. So go back to your customers who've been super satisfied with your services and offer them incentive to refer business to you. And that way you only pay out a referral fee when you make a sale. And so that's a super awesome way to help grow your business a little bit and also make sure you're keeping your costs down from a marketing perspective. The other thing that, we'll tell clients to do is find someone who maybe is in the same space and has a similar offering, but doesn't provide the services you do. Mm-hmm. Can you partner with them? Mm-hmm. And maybe share the advertising dollars a little bit. But the other point that I'll talk about is, we've had clients before where they're spending $1,000 on Facebook and $1,000 on Google, and the customers that they're getting from one platform or the other, they're getting 5 times, 6 times, 7 times the amount of leads from one platform versus the other platform. And it's like, okay, we're getting a lot more leads from this one platform. Maybe we should scale back our spend on the platform that's not working as great. One of the things that, from an advertising perspective and talking about, the cost of conversion and all this type of stuff, is don't leave your Google AdWords, your Facebook ads, or any social media advertising, don't leave it unattended. You want to check in on this stuff, once a week, once every other week, because what happens is if it starts to get off track and you don't stop it or you don't correct it, it'll continue to get further and further and further off of track. And so you think about it like a ship in the water. If a ship, is 2 degrees off course and only goes a mile, they're not too far. But if they go 100 miles, they're way off course. And some advertising platforms can happen. They get way off course, and it can happen relatively fast depending on how much money you're spending on those platforms. So definitely keeping an eye on those is a huge thing. That'll help save money on the advertising, and you'll make sure that you're not spending money where you're not supposed to be. An example of that would be, let's say you are a contractor and you were looking to install windows into homes. And so if you just did a keyword ad on Google Ads for the word Windows, you're going to get everybody who's looking to buy a window for their home. Mm-hmm. You're going to get everybody who's looking to look up information on Windows, as in the operating system. Mm-hmm. You're going to get everybody who's, Google searching things about, window for my Ford F-150 truck.
Yeah, too broad.
Yep, it's too broad, exactly. And so, and if you're not putting a geolocation on that, you're getting everybody around the world. And so ensuring that you really scale that in and make sure that, if you're doing, you're a contractor and you're doing windows for a home, so maybe it's home window replacement. That's going to get you the customers you want, rather than just having a broad keyword that's going to get you a ton of people that have nothing to do with what you're looking for.
You know what, Josh? I love what you've shared with us, and I think we've talked about kind of like the overall picture, and thinking about your business plan, your website strategy, and I think that's amazing information for everybody. Just to sort of bring it all together, what's the kind of one aha you want to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, I do want to circle back a little bit on the business process side. I will say for us, we have sort of a process we go through for every client. If it's a web design, website we're building, we have like this 6-page PDF that we walk every client through that asks them questions about, why are they in business and what do they need from their website and all that type of stuff. And it really helps our clients think through and ensure that we're not missing anything. And so we actually have this 1 page of that packet that walks through like whose responsibility is it for the photos, whose responsibility is it for content, for any of this type of stuff. It's making sure all those expectations are outlined up front, and that's just part of our process. It's something that's super easy, but it also helps make sure that, we talked about from a marketing perspective, referrals are awesome. And so if you have a process in place that ensures that your customers know what the expectations are up front, they're going to be more satisfied. If they're more satisfied, they're more likely to refer you. If they're more likely to refer you, that's going to help build your business. And it sort of all stems from that. But I think the biggest thing, we talked about your website sort of being like a salesperson. But one of the things I often will talk about, with business owners is if you treat your website like a pet rock, it is going to act like one. It's just going to sit there and do nothing. And sadly, I've definitely seen my fair share of pet rock marketing websites.
I bet.
They just don't provide much information and don't provide much value, and sadly cost the business a lot of money to make.
So what's the difference between a pet rock website and a website that's really working for you?
Yeah. So I would say a few things are knowing who your ideal client is.
Yes.
For a business, you need to know who your ideal client is. Who are you speaking to? If you don't know who you're talking to, if you're talking, if you're a contractor talking to a homeowner, know that. Know what their rough age is. Know, do they have kids? Do they not have kids? And I'm generalizing this a little bit, but you want to know that. You want to have some content on your website that really talks about, the services or the products that you as a business have and how they're going to benefit that customer who's reading the website. Have information about you as a business owner. Have a good bio that really showcases, your credibility and your qualifications. You've been doing this 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is. Show your qualifications and let your customers see that. Those are all definitely really, really big things, and would definitely encourage businesses to do.
Love it, Joshua. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And let us know how people can find out more about you.
Yeah, so I own a company, 95 Visual. We're a web design and marketing company. You can go to 95visual.com, and we've actually put together a page on our website, 95visual.com/plan. We have 3 internal documents that we use. Our ideal client workbook, our how to write a bio, and our content planner. All 3 of those we've made publicly available for listeners. And then we also have a PDF on there that is 10 easy steps to help you build a website. And it walks through some different elements that you need to know as you're starting that process. Or if you have a website, sort of look at how your website fits in within that. So again, it's 95visual.com/plan. I'm personally on LinkedIn. We're on, our business is on Facebook and Twitter and all the social networking sites as well. So I'd love to connect with people there.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you for being here.
Awesome. It was good chatting with you. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. Remember to join us in the Private Financial Freedom Podcast Facebook group with me, your host, Lorna Poole. This is a safe haven of like-minded wealth-getting go-getters who, like you, are on their journey to creating financial freedom in their life. This is where you and I can get intimate. I can give you the support and guidance to go from where you are now to where you want to be, developing your wealth mindset and creating your financial freedom life. Join at www.facebook.com/groups The Financial Freedom Podcast. You will see the links to this on the website. It's in the show notes, or type it into the Facebook group. All you have to type in is Financial Freedom Podcast and you will see us there. Look forward to seeing you in the group. Take care. Thank you for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast to creating wealth, investing, and developing your money mindset. To get started today on your journey, head on over to www.lornapoole.com and grab your free course, 5 steps to breaking free from your poverty mindset and accelerating your journey to financial freedom. See you there.